Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. I am here today with Anna Conathan and Sarah Olin. Anna Conathan is the co-founder, senior partner, and chief creative officer of LUMO. She's a coach and storyteller, and she believes that finding your authentic voice is the catalyst that changes the game for women all over the globe. She's a leader who helps her clients and team find their own unique voices and use them with passion, purpose, and lusciousness. Before joining LUMO, Anna established herself as a multifaceted writer, elite creative, and actress. Anna worked as an in-house writer for Disney Animation and penned feature film and television screenplays for some of the world's largest production companies, including Disney, Sony, Warner Brothers, and Paramount. She has performed at top comedy venues in NYC and LA and in international comedy festivals. Anna completed a series of intensive evaluations and training with accomplishment coaching. Her practice focuses on energizing creatives throughout their journey of passion, creative blocks, and discovery. And her quote at the beginning was, "Want to create something outside of the box? Ditch the box." I love that. Get out of that box. Sarah Olin, her quote is, "A wise woman knows her limits. A smart woman knows she has none." And this was said by Marilyn Monroe, and she said it was lived by her. So cute. Sarah Olin, PCC, is the founder and CEO of LUMO, whose mission is to support women in their pursuit and creation of great lives. However, and define them. Professionally trained by world-renowned leaders like Dr. Brene Brown and Mark Hunter, MCC, Sarah has over 10,000 hours of facilitation experience, and she's credentialed by the International Coach Federation, ICF, and certified by Accomplishment Coaching. Sarah's professional competence and dedication to her craft has opened doors for her to coach women leaders at the United Nations, Verizon, the National Basketball Association, Google, Duke Energy, Calvin Klein, Bloomberg, and to participate as a keynote speaker at Amazon's first ever International Working Moms Day. Sarah pours love and humor into her work, and she helps mothers create the joyful and fully expressed lives they want to be living. Connecting women to their purpose and passion is what lights Sarah up. She is the mother of all motivators and destined to become the motivator of all mothers. And LUMO is a collective certified life and leadership coaches and trainers run by mothers for mothers. I love that. We use the tools, principles, and philosophies of leadership coaching to empower women around motherhood, their careers, their relationships, and any other areas of their lives where they are feeling unmoored, disempowered, or not living up to their full potential. Today, we talked about why moms are natural leaders and how to let them lead. Guilt, shame, and comparison, the ballad of the bad mom, disrupting the patterns that lead to burnout, handle your scandal, not happy, that's on you, mama. Get off the teeter-totter, forget, balance, and integrate. We talked about the burnout that people experience, connecting as other women, why you shouldn't do something just because you're great at it, why we need to delegate, how to set healthy boundaries without upsetting people, which that's an art in itself, and the luscious mother theory of trickle-down momonomics, what that is and what it's all about, and what to do if you're unhappy, how to change that. And for mothers, they also kind of dealt with the issue of when you think your life is unchangeable, how to change around what you're telling yourself, what you're thinking in your head, how we have these limits that we place on ourselves that are only limits in our own minds. It was so good today. I am not even close to telling you everything that we discussed because it was just so much. How to work smarter, not harder, so many things. This was such a great sisterhood moment, connection. You know, if you're feeling alone out there, I think you're going to feel empowered as a woman and together with us today on this conversation. Get your coffee cup out, and if you're sitting in a lush robe and some slippers, and just get out on the deck and just really enjoy this whole beautiful conversation of complete sisterhood. Welcome to the Sisterhood today, you guys. And without further ado, we're going to dive into this episode with Sarah and Anna. I'm excited. I have two special guests today. I have Anna Conathan and Sarah Olin. And I want to welcome you both to the Sisterhood. Give everybody a shout out.
Hey, sisters. Hello, Linda.
We are having a sisterhood party already, and we've just started. It's always good when you know, like your guests, you're clicking with them before the show, and they have a great topic to bring. And I was talking to Anna, and she was telling me all about sisterhood, and she was having a bad day today, weren't you, Anna?
Oh, yeah. It's looking up, Linda. It's looking up right now.
The day is looking up. Tell me, how does sisterhood help women and bringing women together, and why should we do it more and need more of it?
Well, I think sometimes we expect a lot from our partners, and sometimes our partner's not able to be exactly what we need. And in my house, particularly today, our son is away at a outdoor school program with a new school and new people, and he's never called us home sick. And he called crying, and he was really upset. So both my husband and I, at like 8 o'clock this morning, were really rankled by this call, and I couldn't lean on Mike the way that I might if it were something that just impacted me. And the Luscious Mothers, the six founders, have been working together since November of 2019, and having those 5 women in my life has given me access to, instead of stewing or withdrawing or panicking or getting caught in a spiral where am I a bad mother? Did I not prepare him for this? Should I go get him? Should I leave him there? Like, what should I do? The ability to reach out to one of my sisters, and sometimes even all my sisters. We have a thread that we keep, that we support each other and pump each other up in our text messages. If we have big meetings, we cheer each other on. If one of us is in the trench, we show up for each other. And so I just reached out and I was like, I'm in pain. I'm having a really hard time. I'm so worried about Sam. And they come at me and remind me who I am and what kind of mother I am and what I'm committed to. And when I can't remember, or I'm not really in touch with my greatness or who I am at my best, I have 5 women who love me and remind me what I have access to, how I can show up. And sometimes they give me suggestions like, oh, hey, try this, or go meditate, go for a walk, what's good for you. Like, they just reground me and redirect me and connect me back to what really matters. Wow. And then I'm able to bring that to my partner.
Yes. And for all the mothers listening, I know you can relate to what she just said. And I can tell you, being a mom of 3, and now they're all living their adult grown lives, and I'm recently a grandmother to Parker. Yay! Elizabeth, and she's so adorable. But also equally, I think you begin to parent your parents. So the parenting, the motherhood, it never ends. Like, it's a real important role in life, and it should be valued more, respected, and put up on a high pedestal instead of what I think a lot of the conversation is surrounding motherhood and when you become a mother and how they feel like you're not going to be viable in the workplace. And I just want, Sarah, if you could kind of address that and what LUMO, luscious, luscious motherhood, what their stance is and what you're trying to bring to the workplace and to mothers everywhere.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. It's really about mothers having choice, autonomy, and power, because so much of the time moms feel like they're on their back foot, like they're losing everywhere, right? They're not doing great at home, they're not doing great at work, they're just dropping balls everywhere, and it can be a very painful experience. And how Luscious Mother and LUMO came to be was that I was that mom who was really ambitious and pregnant and said, okay, I want a career and I want to be a great mom. I want to be a great wife. And I'm not going to let go of any of those things. And how do I make it work? And in coaching was such a profound experience for me because it gave me the tools. It helped me be a creator of my own experience. And what so many women in corporate live by is the old regime, are these old stringent rules that no longer work in a pandemic world. I mean, we can't pretend we're not parents. We can't hide our children. We're all at home. We never know what's happening day to day. My daughter's 9 years old. I could get a phone call that there's been an exposure in her class and she's home for 2 weeks.
Yes.
Right. So
it's why I didn't get my hair done. See, look, I need
Girl,
I need a highlight.
Right.
The hairdresser had to stay home for COVID for their kids.
I gave up fully, or just embrace the gray. But it's about changing the conversation around motherhood. We just ran a beta test of a program, and a lot of the women in 2021 are still afraid of losing ground for being pregnant. So it's how do we change the conversation culturally, universally about women as mothers. And it's really interesting. Just one more quick thing. I heard an interview with Reese Witherspoon when she started Hello Sunshine years ago, and Jessica Alba, a bunch of female actresses had stepped up and waved this entrepreneurial flag and said, hey, we're here and we want to go beyond just acting. We see more for ourselves. And a publication, she didn't say which one, took all their heads and put them like in ball gowns, holding like a mop and a broom. Yes.
I'm already like.
Yeah. And this was in 2015, she said. We're not talking about 20 years ago. This was just a few years ago. So we've got to do a better job, to your point, Linda, of respecting, elevating, and being a champion for mothers and women.
And I think I would add to that, Sarah, that moms believe in themselves and have imagination. Like my background is actually in Hollywood. And it used to be that when an actor started really doing well, won an Oscar, you'd get a deal with a studio, you'd have your own little production company, and then you'd have to I get a deal with Warner Brothers. So every project I'm working on, I've got to get a blessing from Warner Brothers. I have to wait and see if they want it. If they don't want it, then I have the permission to shop it around. And it was still a very subservient role. Reese Witherspoon was like, no, thanks. I'm going to do it completely differently. And she started making her own shows. Like she was the first one to dive in with Apple TV. I mean, her lifestyle brand and her book club are huge achievements. But before that, she said, I don't want the Blue Play special. I don't want what you're offering me. People want to see what I'm making, and I'm going to make it differently, and it's going to be mine. And I was just like, and she's been acting since she was 8.
Yeah, a kid.
Maybe she learned a thing or two, right?
Yeah. But so many people accept the system they're in, and that includes patriarchy, that includes corporate culture.
Well, look at Suzanne Summers, how she totally called the shots and made her own brand, and she didn't let them set the pace for her. She set the pace for them.
Yeah, and I think those are the women who are the avant-garde. They're the ones who are making those, And you could go as far back as like Abigail Adams, you know, women that were like, oh, I don't actually want to do it your way. I'm John Adams' like right-hand woman. And she helped craft all his policy and helped him, you know, create his career. Like, it's those women who say like, no, thank you. I'll have something different.
Linda, did you know you would get a history lesson today? Including
I already love Anna. I already love Anna, and I love when my guests give history. I just think it makes it like a well-rounded piece of art when we have a little history added into the show.
Yeah.
So
I can also tell the future, so I'll drop that in as well.
Oh, okay. Hopefully your future casting is only positive.
Yes, indeed. Indeed.
Oh my goodness. Well, ooh, goodness. Hang on, my notes just closed. I don't usually need notes, but today I thought with two people, I definitely got to keep all my P's and Q's straight.
Yeah.
Why do you think that moms, you know, we didn't lose our bandwidth, we didn't lose anything, we're just as smart, if not more smart than ever when we have a child? And why do you think being a mom, you are a natural leader?
You go, Sarah.
Man, you are just, because you're taking charge of another human being, soup to nuts. You are the commander, right? You're not asking for permission. You're taking charge. You're running the show pretty much entirely. And look, your partner, whomever, is a part of that too. But generally, mom is kind of the center of that, because they're the food source, they're the, you know, the connection point physically. So I think that, and they're so damn resourceful. You figure it out as a mom. If your kid needs something, you figure it out. Yeah, chief everything officer. That's one of the things that we say that moms are, chief everything officer. But I've got clients who, you know, who've got children with special needs, and they're advocates. They're on the front line. They've got lawsuits against school districts because their kids are not giving them what they need. So moms are capable of extraordinary things, truly. And it's proven when it comes to their children, they're almost willing to do anything.
I think it makes you a better boss when you've been a mom.
100%.
I think it
100%.
increases your compassion. I like to say that the thing that has helped me most in parenthood is my background in acting, but particularly in improv, because parenting is like the longest game of improv you will ever play in your life. You can make plans. You can make
I love improv.
You can make an outline for your day. You can make a plan for your week. Like, I was going to meditate this morning and walk the dog to the beach. And then my son called and was like, I want to come home. And I was like, oh God, there goes my morning schedule. Like, you're constantly adapting. And I think, not unlike the Grinch in the Christmas special, you know, your heart grows 3 sizes when you bring people onto this planet and you are in charge of them. And then also there's that added quality. And I'm not saying that every single woman has this, but when I see somebody else's kid struggling, if I see a child that needs help, or if I see a mom that needs help, like, what do you need? Can I hold your baby? You know, do you need me to move your cart for you? Like, you know, like, you show up for people in a totally different way, and you have this 360 vision. Any blinders that you are living inside of. And I think my biggest fear when I became a mom, I became pregnant. It was a little bit of a surprise. Like, I understand how sex works, so it wasn't a total shock, but we were like, everybody else was on fertility drugs and trying really hard. We're like, let's think about trying to try. And then I was pregnant, and I was like, I think I'm too selfish. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this well. I'm afraid. Yeah. But there's like an evolution and an unlocking that happens that increases your capacity. And particularly right now during the pandemic, we had a reporter ask us what kind of skills that moms should be working on right now to return to the workforce to sort of show their employers that they're improving themselves. And I'm like, I almost lit myself on fire, Linda.
Anna, oh my, if looks could kill, I mean.
And I was like, we're talking about women that are at home, working in the Zoom room,
juggling everything.
Yeah, like figuring out what's for dinner.
And looking like a goddess and putting out the sex on demand.
And
I mean.
And I'm like, there are plenty of wonderful men and partners out there. And my husband is like one uterus and one set of breasts away from being a great mom. But at the end of the day, I'm better at dealing with surprises. I'm better at dealing with emergencies. I'm better at juggling 3 things at the same time. There's some skill sets.
Multitasking.
And I can also see the future, right? Like, which is why I was beating myself up.
I'm futuristic in the personality test.
Yeah. I'm like, why didn't I anticipate that Sam was going to have this? I should have sent him with an extra book. And like, had I not been working full time and like dealing with a lot of stuff, I could automatically think of all the things that I could have done for Sam to make him feel more comfortable on this outdoor trip, right? And my husband's like, your bag's packed. Like, once the bag is packed, you have socks and underwear and shoes, you're good. I'm like, no. You're missing so many aspects to this story. So I just think that mom's capacity expands as necessary.
I like that. I like that a lot. That's like a tweetable. Love that.
Really tweetable.
And when you were saying about moms expanding, and I also have to just say, a lot of times as a boss, as a female boss babe, I have been in the workplace with men and women, the whole bit. And I felt like I was the mom of all these kids because, adults are still somewhat like children sometimes. They push your limits, they test your boundaries, see what they can get away with, or they butter you up just like your kids do. And so moms are used to dealing with all these sort of things, so they understand how to manage.
Yeah, and how to read in between the lines.
Yeah,
what's really going on.
Yeah, they're phenomenal chameleons, right? They're unbelievably adaptable and can be with so much. If someone's having a fit, they can handle it. If someone's having a bad day or emotional, they can handle it. If someone is withdrawn or scared, they can handle it. Moms can handle.
They're compassionate, right?
Everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have that compassion and the sensitivity chip, which many times is, absent in the workplace. And I think that's important because we're not ruling machines, we're managing people, and you need to have some of that. And I kind of want to dive into this might let your hair on fire again, but where moms are shamed, you're a bad mom and you didn't do this, oh, you're a bad wife, you're a bad daughter, all this guilt, shame trips that are being put on women. When has this ever been put on men? Why, men don't have to like worry about any of that
it's
stuff.
Funny, I used to say when I became a mom, I lived on Capitol Hill in DC, and I was surrounded by a really interesting group of couples, and the husband and the wife, or the partners, because they certainly, there were a lot of same-sex couples, they all had really important jobs on the Hill, and invariably one of them was adapting to parenthood, usually the mom. And, we've got the moms who are like, I used to run like a huge think tank and people genuflected when I walked by, and someone else brought me my latte, and now I can't get a 3-year-old to keep from flat backing when I'm trying to get in their car seat. and we're judging ourselves in all these ways, and like, who did I used to be? And your identity is all fakakta, and you're just like, what's happening? And then we see like Jim at the park with the baby, and we're like, oh, what a good dad. And I'm like, what? Like, to be a bad dad, you need to have left. You've taken up with a dancer in Vegas. You're not making your alimony payments. You might have a meth lab. He's a bad dad, right? A good dad takes his own children to the park, and one of my friends' in-laws said, "Oh, is Andrew babysitting today?" She was like, "No, he's not babysitting. He's with the children that he elected to have that are his. He's parenting today. He's parenting today."
Love it.
So I
Love
feel
it.
you on that.
Well, and
Yes.
one of the things that is actually in our manifesto, Linda, is we don't believe in the good mom, bad mom paradigm. There's no such thing. I mean, good and bad is an interpretation, and we believe in generosity and giving the benefit of the doubt and being curious versus judgmental. And we're not perfect. We don't get it right every time, but that's what we're definitely committed to. And again, I think that's one of the gifts in coaching, is that when my client brings me something that they have so much shame around, my job is to get curious, bring compassion and elevation to it. But so much of it is what we do to ourselves, right? How we beat shame and guilt ourselves. We do it to one another, but the biggest critic is this one.
Yes. And that stuff comes from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And the people who helped hand us that shame stick may not even have been cognizant of it. Like when I was very young, I remember we did a lot of yard work, and I was the youngest, and I invariably ended up with the lousy rake. And my father told me one day when I was raking leaves that I didn't have any problem solving skills. And I carried that around forever. And much, much later, I helped him solve a transportation issue at the high school where he was an administrator. They didn't have enough buses for enough runs at the public school, yada, yada. And I helped him figure out the problem. And he was like, "That's great. That's a good solution." And I was like, "Ha, ha, ha." And he was like, "You told me I had no problem solving skills, and now you know I do." He didn't even remember saying that to me. You know, like, so you have these little like gremlins, these little, Sarah calls it the itty bitty blank committee. and like they're these little passengers that ride along with us that have these old stories. And I know that men have old stories that they carry around too, but there's something about women and mothers that they're like, "Let me get my shame stick out. Which one do I want to use?" It's like a bag of golf clubs. Like, is this a putter? Am I going for a wood? Like, which one do I want to beat myself with now? Is it bad mom, or I'm crappy at my job? I don't know. Maybe I'll do both. Ding, 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 you know. And it's like those impulses are messages. And so if we can get quiet and be with those messages, like, generally it's an unmet need. It's somewhere where you feel scared. It's somewhere where you're not supported. And maybe men get supported more. I don't know if that's true. Like, I'm so curious about what the biological differences are. And as we certainly move into a world where biology, like,
well,
gender,
they have a wife supporting them.
well, not everybody, but
not
like
everybody, but I'm just saying, like, come on. I used to tell my mom when I was raising two kids on my own for a bit, because I had to leave an abusive marriage behind. And I would say, "Mom, you're the best wife I ever had." But I mean, I was just like, she was helping me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I get it now. I understand what a wife's value. A wife is like amazing.
Yeah.
A mother is amazing, and they should be valued, because we're always nurturing most of the time and helping. But how can we get away from people pleasing? Because I think that's been ingrained into women, and that is part of where all this guilt and shame and comparison comes from."
One of the things I work with my clients on in this area, Linda, is keeping your eyes on your own paper, right? With the comparison and trying to keep up with the Joneses and please everyone else. Unless your cup is full first, if you are not happy over here, if you are not clear and empowered over here, no matter what, you can't please anybody. And it's like playing an unwinnable game or being in an argument with reality. You can't please people. That's their job, right? So it's, where I have people look is, what are you committed to outside of just being liked or whatever, because likely you have a bigger commitment on the planet than just like, I really hope she likes me. You know, and I will say that the need for connection, we were talking about Brene Brown a little earlier, we're hardwired for it, right? In our biology and our physiology and our DNA, we are hardwired for connection. So to an extent with the people pleasing, I think it's notice it and get curious about it. But to Anna's point, put down your, your golf club about it. You don't need to beat yourself up if you are a people pleaser, but the opportunity is to not just relate to that as okay or the status quo, but what could I do differently? How could I let go of that? Right? How could I be different?
And
How
I
can
think
I show up differently? But like when you do, like, let's talk about that. What about when you do set some boundaries with people and show up like that, Anna?
it's going to make some people uncomfortable, but here's the really cool thing. The really cool thing is when you create these new boundaries and you stick with those boundaries, and you will have to, like, there'll be the people who you have to remind, and they're like, oh, right. You're not working on the weekends, or, oh, right. You're not answering your phone after 9 o'clock at night or texting, whatever it is. People will need reminders. But if they're in the spirit of like being down with what you're putting down, then those people are worth investing that time in. And it's a good practice for you to keep laying your own boundary line. But there will be those who hate the new boundary. And that tells you a little bit something, because they're losing something. They've been getting something from you that they're likely not giving back. There isn't like a circle of goodness happening. It's a taking parasitic situation. And when that wall goes up, it's sort of like that scene in Alien when Sigourney Weaver's like pushing the alien off the spaceship at the end, and the alien's like holding onto the door and screaming. It's like those people. This is going to sound a little bit cold, but like, keep that boundary up, because there goes someone who's been stealing your joy, stealing your energy, stealing your time, and who, if they really loved and respected you, they would come around on the boundary. But you do have to keep reinforcing it and practice.
You have to be ready for pushback.
Oh yeah. And if it's like your mom, or if it's, your best friend from childhood, someone that's really part of your life and also knows all your triggers and all your buttons, they're going to open up your fuse box and be like, I'll knock this boundary wall down. Like, let me just flip these buttons. You never show up for me. A couple of years ago, I set a boundary with a friend who I love and I've known her for a long time. And I was showing up for her, and showing up for her was never enough, never, ever enough. And I said no to her once, and she told me that I was a horrible friend. And I was like, oh, okay, here's what's happening. I'm giving you more than I can give, and it's drawing on me. And you want more than I have, and I don't have more. So I think we're breaking up. Like, you need something from me that I literally don't have. I've overdrawn my bank account, and I'm resentful at you, and you're still disappointed in me and still see me as a bad friend. So if how I'm being now is a bad friend, girl, if I dialed it back to where I want to be, I'd be like in the negatives, So do we want to retool our friendship? It was super scary, by the way, super, super scary to have this conversation.
It's very scary to have these conversations, but
Sarah,
otherwise you're going to carry that around with you.
So that's another situation. Like, Sarah was someone who I knew supports me in this. So I have this conversation with my old friend who I've known since catechism, since like second grade. And I'm like, here's the deal. You need to decide. Are we still a couple of friends? Because if you want more, there isn't more. So think about that, because we may need to break up. And then I came home and cried for like an hour to Sarah. And like, she sort of walked me back into my commitments and what really matters to me. And could I sustain this friendship? And could I sustain the energy and anxiety?
Just the fact that you had to have that conversation, I don't know.
So our relationship has changed tremendously, and we are still friends, but it's very different. And I no longer get triggered when I see a text from her coming in, or the 3 dots. Like, she asks me for something and I say no, and then I see the 3 dots. Like 3 years ago, that would have given me a heart attack. What's she gonna say? Am I in trouble? Like, what's it with I'm in trouble? Do all women have this? Am I in trouble? Like, am I in trouble with my friend? Am I in trouble with my spouse? Am I in trouble with my boss? Am I in trouble? I'm like, I'm 48 years old. I shouldn't be in trouble with anybody right now, except maybe like, I don't know, like if I rob a bank, I don't know.
Right, exactly, right? Feeling like you're in trouble all the time. I mean, even with a partner or your parents or your friends.
Yep.
And
Are you mad
also
at me?
just speaking to that about just being in a relationship, well, most of the time the boundaries you have to set is with your own family, and that's hard. And I didn't even know what a boundary was, I have to say, and I wasn't really good at setting them once I discovered what they were. But lately I've been becoming a boundary boss where I set the boundary. I see the person isn't honoring the boundary. I honor my own boundary and reset that again. Like I believe in boundaries. I think you have to have them, and you have to know how to have those difficult conversations as women. And this isn't something we were taught in school, and likely not by your parents. So I think it's really a valuable asset for any woman out there to learn how to have proper boundaries and how to hold and honor your own boundaries.
Yeah, and I think, Linda, one of the most important things to talk about when you're talking about boundaries is that it's just a practice, right? It's
Yes.
no one, like, you're not going to be great at it the first time you do
And it's
anything.
scary the first time.
It's super scary. I love to say Anna will have all the hard conversations, and she's taught me something really important. And what I say to my clients is you can have 5 minutes of uncomfortable or years of pain. So how do you like it?
I
Long
love
and drawn
that.
out, right? Or short and
I literally just wrote on this post-it, hard conversations are not fights.
There you go.
Ooh,
Like
oh yes,
that.
Anna, you
Yeah.
are a queen. Hard conversations are not fight. Oh, retweet.
And the biggest
Wow.
way to stay in control when you're having a hard conversation is to not get into the overly emotional zone. State your whatever it is, whatever you need to be saying in a nice way, but a firm way. And if this person starts to raise their voice in the whole thing, just observe it. Don't absorb it. If you just set that boundary and you're cool, calm, and collected, you always walk away feeling better and empowered.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Linda, you know what? I've made a mess in so many conversations where I'm like, I'm going to be totally calm. And then something comes up.
And
Like
you're
I
just,
remember a conversation with my brother, and it was about politics, and we see the world very differently. And I got,
oh, now we're talking. Now
right,
we're really having a conversation.
Linda, I lost it. I lost my marbles. I just, and he's like, Sarah, what about listening, compassion? I'm like, what you heard. I am here for this. I was so, and that's the thing. And then I went back and cleaned it up. Like, it's never
Why
100%
is it
gain.
always brothers in politics?
I
Why?
don't know. I don't know.
I have
I'm
that
thinking
same thing with my brother too.
He's adorable, though. He's really
Yeah.
adorable.
Oh my
And he's
goodness.
got a really beautiful heart. I know he does. But
And I'm
it's
learning not to talk politics with him because he can't talk politics with me personally. And I'm like, can we just drop this and just go? He couldn't. He just couldn't let go of it. And
yeah,
you're never going to convince a person to change their beliefs by forcing your opinions on them, you know? And so I think learning, how to preserve your energy and not waste it on things like that is another great way to have sort of a boundary for yourself.
agree
Oh
100%.
my gosh. Because we don't want to waste the energy we have. We have too many important things to be spending it on. And like today, we're having this great conversation, and we wouldn't be having this if we hadn't learned a thing or two and disrupted a few patterns in our life.
Mhm.
So like we need energy because we can't deal with stress. We can't multitask if we don't have it.
Yeah.
And women are taking on all this stuff. They're piling on all this. I've got to do this to be a perfect mom. I got to do this to be a perfect wife. I got to wear my superhero cape. And then pretty soon they're freaking burned out. How
Yeah.
can we disrupt the pattern, the
Well, I think
patterns that lead to that?
one thing that you raised that's really significant is energy, right? If we look at the different ways we measure things in life, we're a very time measured culture, right? We're like,
Uh-huh.
well, how much time do I have? And we don't necessarily schedule humanely. And one of the things that really landed with me, it was an article that a friend of mine sent me from the Harvard Business Review. I think it was a Harvard Business Review, about measuring your day in energy and not time, because time is a particular construct. But depending on how much time you have, if you don't have the energy, you might not be able to be productive with that time. If you try to
Right,
squeeze
exactly.
yourself like a lemon and like make the most of your time, and let's be honest, a lot of us don't schedule for when life happens, right? You schedule your day so tightly, and then it's like, oh,
You have
I
no
need to
room for
like,
miracles then, right?
yeah, my partner's car broke down and I have to go get him because he's on the highway somewhere. I didn't leave any time for Jesus, for possibility or anything else, and if we don't have any energy, it takes a lot of bravery to be like, okay, these things are due today, but I can't sit at this computer anymore. I need to go outside. I need to get some air. I need to go for a walk. I need to have a sandwich. And then I need to like meditate for 10 minutes. Or I might need, oh my God, brace yourself, a nap. What kind of horrible woman naps? Well, one who doesn't have enough energy. You gotta refill
You got to
the pot.
replenish.
Yeah. So I think looking at your energy instead of your time, or breaking down your day in a different way. And then the thing that Esther said that knocked my socks off was that sitting is the new diabetes. When you guys were talking about sitting being the new smoking, and then
Yes.
Esther was like, oh yeah, no, sitting is the new diabetes. And I was like, holy cow, because I've put on the COVID-19 and a little extra, and this butt has been in the Zoom room and in the chair for the last year and a half since we launched. And I'm like, Esther, thank you. I got to get my butt. And today I worked at a standing desk. How can you do it differently and still get it done? And you might find that working smarter, working differently.
Going outside with your
Yeah.
laptop.
Yeah. And
I got my husband doing that because I
Yeah.
was like, you gotta find a way to bring joy
Yes.
and enjoyment into your day, into your work, into what you're doing, or you're just gonna, I mean, it's just too like stress. And
it
so
can be
he's been
luscious.
sitting outside
Yeah.
on the deck doing his work a lot lately. And I think like, how can we all tap into that, bring in that enjoyment? Because being chained to a desk 24/7 is not happiness.
No. And that's like everything you're talking about is really the underpinnings of lusciousness, right? Like I live a half a block from the beach. After I finished that walk with you and Esther, like I walked the dog, I walked myself, I got out into the sun, I learned a whole lot about what's happening to my abdominal wall hormonally. And then I came home and I had something I had printed out that I was ready to work on. And I was like, I could take this printout and a chair to the beach and work at the beach for an hour. And I did. And I just want to say, I don't know that I would have done it yesterday because I just got back from vacation. So do I deserve to go sit on the beach since I just got back from vacation? Yes, I do, because I worked the whole time that I was there. But I had to like have that argument with myself. But I was like, what would Esther and Linda do? They'd go to the beach.
You also deserve vacation.
Yes, yes, I do.
But you don't want a life you have to take a vacation from also,
yeah.
right? So each day you should be thinking about, where am I in this equation? And am I joyful? Where can I bring joy to what I'm doing? And am I truly happy? And how do you guys coach women that aren't truly happy?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll speak to it because I've coached many of them over the years, many. You know, Linda, it's starting with what they really, really want. But even before you get there, it's hard to get there because for most people, the way that I talk about coaching is this. It's like, imagine that your dream house is available There's a for sale sign. You're the first person to see it. It's perfect. Oh my gosh, it's the perfect time. You have the money. You want to move. It's all the stars are lining up. And you get inside, and a hoarder lives there. And there's crap everywhere, and all the possibility starts to go away. So part of the work with coaching is actually moving the crap out to see possibility again, to get to what's actually there. And then it's like, oh yeah, my couch could go there. I could see my family enjoying a meal in this dining room, right? So I think happiness always starts with, what do you want? But we can't have that conversation until we get to what's in the way, right? What have you
Oh
made up?
man, oh man, oh man. I feel like that could be another podcast.
Oh, yes.
What's in the way? I love that. I love that so, so much. It might be the title today, but so how, okay. How are we in our own way? Right? How are we in our own way? And how is our mindset in our way, right? What we think we're limited with is truly just our perceptions, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing I say to people when I explain to them what coaching is and how it works. I said, it's what do you want? And then what's in the way, both real and imagined, mainly what's imagined, right? So it's what we've made up about ourselves, what we've made up about the world, what our parents did or didn't do, what our parents wanted us to do that we didn't do, whatever. We all come with emotional, energetic baggage.
Right. Many of us don't even recognize it, the baggage.
Right.
We think we have no baggage.
Yeah. That is hysterical.
Some of us have Mary Poppins bag, which just is like bottomless.
So positive. I don't have it. Yeah.
You can pull like a lamp out and a boat.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a process. But first, I think the very first thing is you got to want it. You got to want to change.
And I think that comes a lot often, Sarah, with our clients. Like, some women are very directed and they know, I want to start my own company, or I want to leave this job, or I want to have a baby, or I want to write a novel. Like, what, they have a specific goal. But more often than not, it's, I know something is wrong. I know I'm not happy. I don't think this is all there is, but I'm having trouble seeing what else there is. And the people that you're in the pool with, people at work, your spouse, friends. I mean, I have several friends that I love and adore, and I think they're amazing people, but they're like, well, I'll figure out what I want after the kids go to college. And I'm like,
or I'm going to stay with this guy until my kids are through school because I'm really miserable. He's really not emotionally supportive or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just these stories
now. Yeah. Yeah. So it's those women who are like the ones who just start to feel like this isn't it. Yeah. And I don't know what it is, but I need someone outside of my compound, someone outside of my sphere of influence to just let me explore and say the things that I might not want to say to my partner. And I'm not talking about therapy. Like, that's a whole different thing. And therapy and coaching actually can work phenomenally together, given the players. But it's having that, being able to go somewhere. And I often say to my clients, like, I'm holding your energy, baby, right? Like, we've swaddled your dream, like whatever it is you want, or whatever it is you want to figure out or investigate or drive towards. And I'm the person who's like holding it for you all week. And I'm never going to say like, I don't think that's possible. Or do you have the money for that? Or is it even okay if you leave your job, if you talk to your partner? Like, all those things that people say, thinking that they're being helpful, but really just, you never know when you're taking bites out of somebody else's dream. So to have someone, if absolutely nothing else,
you have a cheerleader, somebody in your corner.
You have a date every week to go be with someone, and group coaching even better.
That's what moms do for people. They're cheering their kids and their husband on,
Right. And you need that too, as a woman.
Absolutely.
And so being able to come and be with another person and share that and foster it and grow it, it's like a garden. And then if you do like group work, I mean, and you can do group work with your own friends, you don't need a coach, but to come together with that shared goal of diffusing the bombs of your insecurity, your shame, your guilt, and then being with other women whose storefronts look great. And you're like, oh, she's so great. Well, her stock room's a hot mess too. Like you
Oh,
get
for
taken to your
sure. And
locker
there,
room.
and oh my gosh, you don't even know how true that is. That is
Yeah.
such a true statement.
Yeah.
So like we got to throw away that comparisonitis and thinking somebody else's life is so much greater than ours.
Yeah.
You know, new levels, new devils, you know, if somebody
Yeah.
has millions, they have millionaire problems, you know.
Yeah.
So you just can't look at people and think that you see it all, like just by the appearance of what's going down. I really know that you are dying for me to ask this question, so I'm gonna I'm gonna ask it. I made her wait, but how does the luscious mother theory of trickle down momonomics work?
This is Anna all day.
All right. So trickle down economics is an economic theory that really reached like a fever pitch of popularity during the Reagan years. Like Reaganomics was essentially trickle down economics. And the idea is that if the wealthiest people, if the people at the top of the fiscal food chain are doing well, that naturally it will trickle down onto everybody beneath them and everyone will be happy. Our economy would tell us that this is not actually true, which is why so much of it is wedged up at the top and there's so much economic disparity. And I'm not an economist, I promise. But when we look at moms, you know, what I look at with trickle down economics is like, well, why doesn't it work? Well, because the people at the top need to have a vested interest in wanting to get that extra down to everybody else, to distribute that generosity and prosperity. And women are naturally generous. Women are naturally empathetic, and particularly moms, because everything, when you become a mom, even biologically, everything about you, you're sharing your blood supply with your baby. You're sharing your, you know, your brain power, your body power, like everything about being a mother.
Your belly.
Your belly space, you know.
Yeah.
And we're naturally generous. So if moms are sourced, if moms are well fed and hydrated and supported, and they're given an opportunity to be in their power, to be grounded, to really be like, well, what do I bring? What is my purpose in this one wild life? What is this special offering that I'm here for? And apart from raising these wonderful future citizens, I have all this stuff to give. And if I am sourced, I'm going to give it away. I'm going to give it to other mothers. I'm going to give it to other children. I'm going to give it back to my community. And it's, to me, it's like a matriarchy, but it's based out of generosity and the idea that everybody can be cared for and we can still all do well. So trickle down momonomics is the idea that if mothers are supported, and if mothers support each other, and if mothers take care of themselves, there's actually more to give away. And I think there's this idea. I once had a client that she had a great experience with coaching, and she's like, well, I think I'm done. I think I've got it all down. And it just feels really selfish to take this money away from my family and take this time away from my kids. And so she left for 6 months, and then her husband sent her back because she was not happy. And he saw a difference because she had more to give when she had that support, when she had that place to come and be seen and encouraged.
Yeah, and that's the one caveat with trickle down momonomics that's really important, is that if mom's cup is not full, we like to say, handle your scandal. If you're not handling your own scandal, that's where it doesn't work, right? I can't give to Anna or give to my daughter or give to my husband if I'm not taking care of myself, right? So it's super important. And we do a lot of work with women around that. And it seems so basic, especially in corporations. They're like, oh, we don't want a well-being workshop. I'm like, you don't, because your people are not well. You know, and it's one of those things, Linda, that everybody knows intellectually, but has no experience of, no integration of. And our friend the Buddha says to know and to not do is to not know. So it is no longer enough for women, mothers, anybody to say, oh, I know my well-being should matter, but blah, blah, blah. No, you don't even get to say that until you're actually taking the action.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just think if all of us took an improv class,
Life
it would change the world. It would change.
When you said that earlier, I just have to laugh because my husband and I took one together, and that was the most fun. We would laugh for hours, and I think like it makes you like, if you were having a little fussy time with your husband or not getting along, and you went and had that fun together. I just think that
improv is up there with therapy. In fact, like
it's
I think
it's yes and so it's the biggest supportive thing,
and
right?
That's a great practice even for anyone to take on. Like
instead of being completely opposite, left lane, different. How about yes and
what if you challenge
how
every
can
time
I
you
support
encountered someone, you had to do that? And I have a friend who is she's a big Seinfeld fan, and I actually didn't watch Seinfeld very much because George Costanza made me so uncomfortable. But there's one episode that I did watch that I enjoyed, which was his opposite day. Like George is just known for making the wrong choice, doing the offensive thing. Like he's just a monster of a human being. And somebody suggests to him, I don't know if it was Elaine, someone suggests him that he do the opposite of his impulses all day. And it's like a perfect day. So my friend is like, like every so often she'll be like, I need to have a George Costanza day. I need to do opposite day because everything I'm doing is falling apart. I'm making all the wrong choices. So I'll try that. But and to me, like improv is that opportunity. Because if you have curiosity, right? Like if you let go of judgment of yourself,
that's it right there.
People, and you just get really, really, really curious. And ask questions. Like we were saying, like you can't convince someone to believe something different than what they believe. But what you can do is say, like, tell me more. What does it mean to you? Why does it matter so much? Where does it really, like, where's your investment in, like, how did you come to think this? And like, but not from like, and why do you think that? Like, not like that. Like, tell me more about this thing that I don't know. Because every time we meet a new person, we have an opportunity to find out what we have in common and what we stand to learn from each other. And that's why improv is so beautiful. We used to have this one kid in our class. I did groundlings when I was in LA, and you'd go into the scene with him and you'd be like, let's leave and go to Paris. And so you had to figure out, like, how do I stay inside of this scene? How do I agree with what he's saying to me, even though I wanted to come in riding on an elephant? Like we had different purposes, different intentions of what was going on. He had a plan. He beat me to it. So I've got the hostility that this guy came in with an idea before mine. Then he's like trying to take me somewhere I don't know how to go. And then I'm like, forget it. You have no time. You have to agree with this guy. Off to Paris we go. Oh, look, the Eiffel Tower. Well, thank you. We're just in my space rocket. Like you're forced to do all these things that you don't do in everyday life. And if people could yes and each other more, and with parenting too, right?
Yeah.
Like we used to call ourselves the no people. Sam got into that sort of autonomous toddler phase where he was kind of pissy and wanted to touch everything and climb on things. And we're like, no. I said to Mike, like, I feel like we're saying no to him all the time. We need to find some things to say yes to. Even if we have to construct situations so that we can be like, yes, you can have this Matchbox car or whatever. Hearing no, the rule of no is so eroding. It's so eroding and it's so alienating. So like, yes, and. Take yes, and for a spin. That's your assignment.
I love it because it's like that whole thing of support, and I can't say enough good things that you guys got to go check out and do some improv.
Everybody should improv. Everybody should improv and waitress and do extra work. Those are 3 great things for people.
Oh my gosh, this has been such a good conversation. I need to ask you, what in the world is a luscious motherhood? What is that?
Oh, so that was born when I was a new baby coach, and I had all these big dreams back then. I wanted to, create a 6-figure practice. Every new entrepreneur's thing, like, I want to make 6 figures. And then I wanted to coach at the UN. I had this opportunity to go in and train coaches and be a part of this team. There were all these amazing things that I wanted to do. And my coach at the time said, well, who would you need to be in order to create all that? And I said, luscious mother. And it just became, it stuck. It became a nickname. It was, people would call me luscious. They'd use the word luscious around me. And I created a whole, company around this idea of luscious mother. And we've got some tenets of luscious motherhood and things that we've worked on, and we've shortened it to LUMO, right? So that it's more agreeable to corporations, because luscious mother is a hard nut
Luscious
to
is a
swallow.
confronting word. It makes my mother-in-law very tight.
It makes a lot of people uncomfortable because they don't relate to themselves that way, and they don't relate to motherhood that way. And we don't want to blend into the background. We want to challenge people and say, hey, it might not be luscious, but it can be.
Yeah.
In your
How
version
can
of
women become luscious mothers?
Yeah, well, Linda, it's such a personal conversation, because what's luscious to me is not luscious to Anna. I love fashion, and I'll send her like a piece of jewelry. I'm like, what do you think? And she's like, I give zero shits about that. I don't want to see pictures of dresses and little baubles that you want. To her, it's not, to me, it's like, ooh, it's very luscious, right? Me growing my hair gray, to me, that's luscious. To a lot of women, that's not. It's your version of luscious, not my version, not Anna's version. That's an inside job. What do you like, sis?
And it's what do you see? Like, I would say start looking at, what are you jealous of? Who are you envious of?
What are you FOMOing over?
Who do you watch and think, oh, why does she get to do that? And I want to do that. And for me, like, Sarah and I had been friends. I actually picked Sarah up in a bar in Rhode Island many, many years ago. She's
20 years ago.
God, oh my God. She's the only person I've ever picked up in a bar. It's gone very well. So Sarah and I were both, I think I was engaged when we met, and you were dating, but we weren't moms yet or anything like that. And we went in separate directions to different adventures and different careers. And when Sarah became pregnant, all of a sudden she's pregnant. She's moving to Charlotte from Manhattan. She's doing this coaching program, and motherhood cleaned my clock. I mean, Linda, it cleans my clock. I had like 3 surgeries. I had postpartum. There was a lot. And I felt at the effect of motherhood until Sam was about 5, because of health problems, because of depression, because of anxiety. And I felt like a shell of myself. And there's my best friend living her best life, calling herself luscious. And I was like, what the like, I am first it was evidence. I am a bad mom. It can be done. It can be easy. It can be perfect, right? Like, for instance, Sarah had a C-section. I never remember that Sarah had a C-section because everything looked so perfect to me about what was happening with Sarah. I had a C-section, therefore I was a bad mom. About once a year, Sarah has to remind me, I also had a C-section. I'm like, right. So I had made it mean something about me. And then I reached out to Sarah. Actually, I think Sarah saw on Facebook that I was in it deep. And she was like, hey, what's up? Something's up with you. You need support. What do you need? And then my health had started to improve, but my psychology around it hadn't improved. I still felt like, this is it. This is all I get. And this is what it's going to be like until maybe Sam goes to college. P.S. I love my son. He's a delight, thank God. But being a mother, becoming a mother, being loaded into this paddock, I felt like I got stamped or branded or tagged and shoved in this place. And then people would say things like, oh, you're Sam's mom, like things that just stripped away my identity. I lost my career. I was a working screenwriter for the studio system. I lost my career and I just lost myself. And Sarah was like, hi, let me just grab you by the nape of your neck and pull you over here. And she had me go to the first Luscious Mother retreat. And that's when I realized part of what makes me luscious is being in a room full of people, being in a room full of women, having honest conversations, being authentic. Crying in public turns out to be really important for me. Like all of these
one
things.
of her skills.
and my version of lusciousness, like the next thing I did, the first job I took after I started writing for Sarah because we have a similar voice, we have a similar attitude. She helped me find my sense of humor again, which I never thought I'd find again. And the first job I took that still is the thing that makes me feel most luscious was I was a sternman on a lobster boat and I wore giant orange pants and I was covered with fish guts. And I've never felt as beautiful, as strong, as empowered, and like being out on the ocean, being in a boat, feeling the wind in my hair, like being dirty. banding lobsters, freeing the female lobsters who are going to go on and make more lobsters, like learning about ocean ecology and like hanging out with salty, cranky old men. Like that felt great to me. But none of the other luscious mothers, I'm like, let's go on a camping trip. They're
They
like,
didn't get it.
no, thank you.
And we're not there. We're not there yet. Maybe in our next lifetime.
But they allow for my lusciousness. And I ran into a lobsterman yesterday while I was walking with you and Esther, who I used to work near. And he's like, I'm looking for a sternman on Saturdays. And I almost burst into tears because I'm so excited about being able to get back on a lobster boat on Saturday. And I texted the ladies immediately. And I was like, that's luscious to me. And they knew immediately what that meant for me. That I had access to a lobster boat and traps and the water, and that's luscious. And so we can all be luscious together in totally different ways. But the agreement we have with each other is we know each other, we see each other, and we constantly show up to support each other in achieving that and in having access to it. And not every day is 100% luscious, but you can even be luscious when you're feeling crappy, because it's like being with it, being present with it, being authentic, being honest. So I'd say lusciousness is radical acceptance of who you really are. And then surrounding yourself with people who are like, yeah.
Yes, right. Support and connection. And even today in the studio, I have this gal from New York. We're enjoying I enjoy training her. We have the best conversations in there, I tell you guys. And just relating to her, taking care of her mother, and I'm helping out with my mom, and just the funny, quirky things they do where you're just like, oh my goodness, like, and it was just so amazing because she said something to me that made me see where my mom was at. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh yeah. So our girlfriends can really help us see things from a new perspective. And I love the whole sisterhood thing, the oxytocin that we secrete when we're around each other, and just the collaboration. And this has been great today. I've enjoyed talking to you guys. I feel like we could have gone for
Linda,
more.
We could do this all night.
We're the Captain America of our own lives right now.
Yes, absolutely. As Anna wrote, Chief Everything Officer.
Yes, indeed.
For sure.
That's what the CEO, that's what a mom CEO is.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the only CEO I'm interested in.
Yes. So this has been so good. Where can everybody find LUMO? Find you guys on social media?
Yeah, LUMO Leadership, baby, on Instagram. We're on LinkedIn. We've got a fantastic newsletter that you can access on the lusciousmother.com website. The newsletter is killer. And we're also offering, we joined Meghan Markle's 40 by 40. So we're offering 40 free minutes to mentor a woman, give her a coaching session completely free, just so that there's more support in paying it forward.
Yeah, more sisterhood. 40 minutes just for you. And it can be about work.
Attached.
It can be about life. It can be about anything. Just contact us through our Instagram or our Facebook feed, or reach out to us through the website, and we will find our way to you and make sure that you have a luscious coach and you get 40 free minutes of whatever kind of support you need.
And the website again?
lusciousmother.com.
Perfect. And give me one thought from each of you. And I'll have you go first, Sarah. What do you think makes an empowered woman?
I think believing that she's worthy and capable makes an empowered woman.
Yeah, believing that you're worthy and that you're fully capable, right? What about you, Anna?
Well, the thing that just popped into my mind is one that we like to say a lot is just because you're good at something doesn't mean you have to do it. Right? So you can be good at a lot of things. A really empowered woman outsources you know you're good at everything. Just because everybody else hasn't
You
caught up.
don't have time to do everything
Yeah,
just because you're good at it.
Yep. Think about what you do that you're good at, that you love, and then start your outsourcing list for things that you're good at that you don't love doing, and hand that stuff off.
I'm ready. Woo!
You cannot hold the whole bowl.
I've been doing it more and I'm ready for more. I'm ready. Oh, everybody out there, I hope you guys all enjoyed the episode with Sarah and Anna today. It was gold. I really enjoyed and appreciated all of the things that you had to say. And as always, everybody, keep on keeping on.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.